All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we have is a rural area with a comms building and an electrical grid that the Wolf's Dragoons and the 4th Davion Guard are going to be fighting over. Let's look at our forces. The Davion Guard brings a Jägermech D. This is the 70-ton variant. It's forged across the board, 1 overheat with case, moves 8, skill 3. The dice are going to tell you what the skills are, so I'm going to quit saying that part. Then we bring a Jägermech that brings 2 Gauss rifles, which deals 4, 4, and 3. Also has case. We bring an Enforcer 5D, 2s across the board, jumps, fun stuff. A Dervish, this is a 7D, indirect fire 1, LRMs, short and medium is 3 damage, long is 2 damage. And then we bring an Urban Mech because we can. This is the R60L. This one brings an AC 20, so he's 2 at short, 2 at medium, nothing at long range. And it has the abysmal 4 movement points. So he's going to have to jump to get a target movement modifier. And now we have the Wolf's Dragoons. I'm not sure why these things printed out in yellow, but they did. We're playing against Eric today, so there's going to be an Atlas in the list. And it is the classic Atlas D. 5 at short and medium, 2 at long range. Indirect fire 1. It also can shoot out its butt. Now we have a Wolf's Dragoon exclusive variant of the Archer. This is the 5W. 3 at short, 4 at medium, 3 at long. Case, indirect fire 2. Also has a standard narc, so he can tag stuff with a missile beacon at up to medium range as an extra attack, and then missile attacks that follow deal an extra point of damage. And then there's this Berserker A3. For an assault, it doesn't have a very big profile for short, medium, or long, but it has that melee special rule, which means at 2 inches he can just smash stuff for 5 points of damage. We are going to be doing variable damage. So today, if you've got 5 points of damage you can do, we're going to roll a pilot die, and then we're going to roll 1 point for each point of damage. And then each 2d6 pair is going to create results, and the pilot die is paired with each of them to figure out how many points you're going to end up dealing. So the pilot die has to come up with a 6 for you to be able to deal a crit, and you're only going to be able to deal 1 crit. We'll see how this goes. Just to clarify real quick, inside this geometric shape, we are calling that difficult terrain for movement, but it does not block line of sight unless you're on the opposite side of that thing. All of the water on the table is level 1 water, granting partial cover, and woods. If your hex face is sticking out of the woods, targets out of that hex face do not gain cover, or do not gain the woods +1 for you shooting out of woods. It's a situational thing. So just to give an example, the Enforcer can shoot out of its front hex space, and not granting its target the +1 for woods. If it shoots out of any other hex space, it does grant the target the +1 for woods. However, the Enforcer as a target is granted the +1 for woods all the time, because most of its base is inside the woods. We play several other games, one of which is the World of Tanks skirmish game, miniatures game, and that's basically what we're using as the basis because we like that rule. Because if you're going to draw a line of sight over your hull out of woods, then your target doesn't gain cover. And we're basically implementing that rule into this game. The other thing that we do is we will deploy half of our forces in an I go, you go fashion, or I go, you go, I go, you go. We split that up just like we do the movement phase. We'll roll off for first turn. Whoever wins the roll-off gets to choose their side, and then the opponent has to deploy half of their... The opponent is going to have to finish deploying first. So Eric has 3 machines, I have 5, so he's going to end up deploying 2 of his 3, and I'm going to deploy 3 of my 5. But I have to put the first thing on the table. So there's that guy. This is the end of deployment. My dervish and enforcer are there. The urban mech is here. There's an atlas on the table. Yes, it's dressed up like Batman. And that is the archer. We'll see where that berserker comes in, along with the 2 Jaeger mechs. Because those 3 battle mechs are going to have to walk on where everything else is already on the table, and we'll kind of have an idea as to how those things will work out. All right, so let's roll for first turn. Ready? House Davion has a 5, and the Wolf's Dragoon are showing up strong. So we're going to be, I'm going to move 1, and then I'll move 2, and then 2, and then Eric will move 1 each time. End of turn 1 movement. Both the Enforcer and the Dervish have mounted this terrain over here. The Atlas has decided to climb up on that hill, blocking himself off from the guys over here. The Urban Mech has plodded along, and the Jaeger Mechs have decided to try to flank. The Archer is in the woods. There's enough woods between the Archer and the Urban Mech that they cannot see each other. Same with the Berserker over there. You should have a 1 in front of... No, it should be a 1 in front of your Archer and a 2 in front of your Berserker for movement modifiers. And then a 1 in front of the Atlas. We are going to play with an alternate rule called sprinting. And we have decided that since you lose your ability to attack that turn, you don't have to make that choice during the movement phase, but you do have to make that choice before anybody shoots. So starting with the player who lost the initiative, that would be me, I have to declare whether any of my units are going to sprint, and if they're not, then they are where they are going to be. So I would declare the number of units I'm going to sprint, and then you declare the number of units you're going to sprint, and then we'll divide that up and do things equitably, as opposed to, no, I'm going to have all 5 of my things sprint, and then you get to know where they are before you decide what you're going to do, because that's not cool. I'm going to not sprint anybody.
I will sprint 1 mech.
Okay. So how sprinting works is it allows you to move 150% of your movement during your turn. So I'm going to assume that his Berserker is now going to move an additional 5 inches because he normally has 10 inches of movement. So another 50% of that would be 5 more inches. But he gets to do this at the beginning of the shooting phase as we're playing it. So yeah, we'll let him resolve that. So he, as we were discussing, decided to move the Berserker forward. He had 5 more inches available, which at 15 inches of movement is a 3 TMM. I think in the rules it's not supposed to change your target movement modifier, but we decided that was silly. And we're going to allow him to gain his target movement modifier. Because we are not playing with the evade special rule, which you can choose not to shoot during your turn, and augment your target movement modifier based on your skills. We're not doing that. We're just going to go with the sprinting ability. So the Berserker is moving into danger close, or trying to, on my guys over here.
I'm going to touch it.
He really, really wants to touch it. All right, turn 1 shooting. The Atlas dealt no damage in return to all of the missiles and autocannon fire that went whizzing past him because the Dervish and the Enforcer missed their shots because that exchange was at long range. The Berserker did not shoot because he sprinted. The Urban Mech didn't shoot because he doesn't have line of sight. And then the 2 Jaeger mechs stripped the external armor of the Archer, and the Archer dealt 4 damage to this Jaeger mech. He's also overheating and has been narked. This is the overheat die. That's the narc. That's his target movement modifier. Now we get to go into movement. Roll 2d6 and let's figure out who has turn. I have a 6, you have a 9. You get to react to me again. Okay, let's see how this goes. The end of the movement phase, both the Dervish and the Enforcer got off of their perch and came at the Atlas because the Atlas decided to go, no, I'm going to go over there now. So yeah, they needed to get targets. The Archer moved forward in the woods. The Urban Mech moved to the edge of the building going, I want targets. The Berserker might oblige. We'll see. The Jaeger mech that was overheating went, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, the Berserker's coming. And then this one went, I'm glad I can fire all my weapons and not have to worry about heat. Because that, yeah, he needed the extra 2 inches so he can try to run away from the Berserker. It's not going to work because the Berserker's axe reaches 2 inches from himself and he moves 10. So he'll catch up to the Jaeger mech eventually.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah. Are you going to sprint? Excuse me, I lost initiative. I'm not sprinting anything this turn. Are you?
I will not sprint this turn.
Look at the grumpy face he has. Like, nothing's in range of my axe. Yeah, we saw a 110 mech show up with an axe and we went, oh god.
No.
We're all gonna die. Before this moment fades away, the first time the Urban Mech gets to press the button, he goes, I'm gonna do a through armor critical. Let's roll and figure out what this through armor critical is, because he shoots the Berserker because it's big and scary.
If you headshot this guy.
Oh, the 6 came up, which made Eric have a pucker factor, and 8, so that's 1 less damage at each range profile. So he no longer deals damage at long range, and he deals 2 at short and medium, but he doesn't care because he's going to get into the I'm going to hit it with my axe phase, and nothing destroys that damage. Yeah. Alright, so this is turn 2 shooting. The Jaeger mechs were, excuse me, this Jaeger mech was successful in finishing off the Archer. The Enforcer did tag the Atlas. The Dervish failed due to indirect fire. The Urban Mech hit his target and dealt a weapon hit. And then he overheated to... Who did he shoot at? He shot at the Berserker and just... I didn't deal any damage.
Panic fired, nothing.
Oh, that's right. My pilot die came up with a 1 and I needed a 9. So that was going to be a nope. The Berserker...
Shot and whiffed.
Oh, yes. These guys swapped misses. The Archer tried to narc this guy and missed. And then he dealt 2. He dealt 2, and then the Archer followed up with 2 more. To me, the Atlas followed up with 2 more. They're ignoring the Urban Mech. I don't know why. That's a joke. The Urban Mech's terrible. Sorry, Internet. Alright, the Wolf's Dragoons have yet again won the initiative, but the Davion Guard retain the numbers advantage. There's 2 inches separating those two, but we measure range from center of hex to center of hex. Center of the mech to center of the mech, so he can't hit him with his axe, which makes him very sad because then he's doing 2 damage instead of 5, or potentially doing 2 instead of 5. But the Jaeger-mech, if he's alive, won't be able to run far enough away next turn. So yeah, that's a rough day. The Atlas decided to walk around that hill so that way he can tag this Jaeger-mech unobstructed. The urban mech is still like, oh, it's still there, it's still there, it's still there. The dervish and enforcer are moving into flanking positions. The enforcer has no targets this turn, unless he runs and then he potentially gets shot at. We'll see. I lost initiative. I am going to sprint 1 thing. Are you sprinting?
No.
Okay. I figured as much, but you should still declare. All right. Yeah. That was movement. We'll come back at the end of shooting. Okay. So the dervish was able to tag the Atlas for 2 points from the dervish. The enforcer decided to run forward to get into better position next turn. The urban mech missed. The MVP of the internet did not do any damage. The Jaeger mech was too afraid of the berserker to land any damage again. And then this Jaeger mech tagged the Atlas for 3 out of 4 damage, I believe.
1. He dealt 1 additional point. That'd be 3 damage he received this turn. The Atlas received only 3 damage this turn.
Okay. I'm like Okay. I misremember. That's fine. He dealt 8 damage to the Atlas. The Atlas returned fire for a single point of damage. The Berserker finished off that Jaeger mech, and now he's looking at other juicy things on the other side, on the wrong side of a pond.
Better stop him.
So yeah, we'll see how the next turn goes after movement. Initiative for, I believe this is turn 4. Davion is continuing with the initiative suck.
I have to win something in this.
That's fair. I'm gonna move 2 things, and then you move 1, and then I move 2, and you move 1. All right. So we have movement now. The dervish has come back to the hill. The enforcer has decided to climb onto that hill, and he has realized mistakes have been made because there's an Atlas there. The good side is he could potentially run away from the Atlas. Because we're doing the sprinting thing. He's going, oh dear God, I don't want to be here. Which actually changes the game quite a bit. Yeah, that was kind of an unintended consequence with that. Thanks, buddy. The urban mech decided to try to get out of axe range, and the Jaeger mech is in a not happy place. We'll see what happens. All right, this is the end of turn 4 shooting, 5 shooting. I don't remember which turn this is. Eric says it's turn 5. Okay, so the Atlas and the Enforcer swapped fire, both dealing full values of damage. The difference is the Atlas does 5 and the Enforcer does 2. So the Atlas stripped the Enforcer. He only has structure left, and it's only 2 points. He's very sad now. The difference is the Enforcer has a friend, this Dervish over here, and the Dervish hit the Atlas for a very important half movement value. That was his critical, it was a 7. The Urban Mech continued to waylay the Berserker. This urban mech has been deemed the trash can of justice, because he again dealt 2 points of damage to the thing he's looking at. The Jaeger mech only dealt 1 point.
For a recap, that means the urban mech has dealt 4 out of 5 points of damage to the berserker.
Yeah. To be fair, the urban mech has fired at the berserker every round.
To be fair again, the other Jaeger mech has fired at the berserker almost every round and whiffed more often.
Yes. Yes, there's been lots of whiffing at the berserker, particularly by the dead Jaeger mech. The berserker landed 2 points on the Jaeger mech.
Do you like that?
And now we're into turn 6 movement. Alright, so we just rolled for initiative, and I didn't lose because we tied. Now we're going to roll again and watch me lose initiative. I have an 8. He has a 9.
Told you, it's only while recording do you lose initiative.
That's okay.
So I think I can win this game.
Now we're going to get into the movement phase. Alright, this is our race to the finish because the Berserker has 1 point of structure left. He should be running away, but here's the thing. All of the guys he's trying to kill are between him and the board edge, so we're not going to worry about that. And he only has 1 gun left, and he can shoot things at a +4 because we hit his fire control system twice instead of more helpful things. Yeah. The Atlas dealt 5 damage to the Dervish because the Dervish held still. The Dervish should have shot at the Atlas because he was the only one who could, but mistakes were made. So now we're into next turn initiative, whichever numbered turn this is. I have forgotten again.
This is now, I think, turn
Watch
8.
me fail initiative again. Oh, I got a 9. You got an 11. Okay, yep. We're gonna just keep this this Davion failed initiative going. We'll be back after a movement. Arguably the most important thing that has happened for the Wolf Dragoons, at least as far as Eric is concerned, is the Berserker got to use his axe and removed the rest of this Jägermech from the fight. Because he could take 4 points and the Berserker deals 5 in melee. Yeah, he was deleted. Now the Urban Mech and the Enforcer are afraid to come down. The Urban Mech because he only has 5 points normally and can't run away from the Berserker. And then the Enforcer because he only has 2 points of structure left. The flaw in their thinking is that the Berserker can't just walk up the side of the building because it's not more than 2 tall, so technically the Berserker could run up the side of the building as far as rules go.
Too happy there.
Eric didn't know that, which is part of the reason why I'm sharing that with the rest of the community. Because I'm gonna lose something this turn.
The pimp slap.
Oh, why'd you gotta bring that into it? All right, so we have moved. We have determined that the Atlas decided to step into the spot the Enforcer left from. So the Enforcer is now going to go back and sit on top of the Atlas. If he actually, he's going to take a damage either way. I think the Enforcer, if he's successful in hitting the Atlas, I think he dies. If he fails, he still might die because he'll have 1 point of internal left. Yeah, I didn't think that through very well, but if he hits, he deals 3 points of damage, which is more damage than he can do any other way. The problem is that because the Enforcer did that, the Berserker could not get close enough to axe something, and has decided to hide out of everybody's line of fire, so he lives 1 more turn.
Axe murderer strikes again.
Yeah, we'll see. That's I mean, it's going to be a problem for the Urban Mech because the Urban Mech's going to be dead.
It hears the Jaws theme. Play it on loudspeakers.
So if the Atlas shoots the Dervish and deals 5 points of damage, the Wolf's Dragoons could very easily win this game. We'll see how this works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the travesty that has occurred is the Dervish and the Urban Mech failed to kill the Atlas. Had the Atlas not shot the Enforcer out of the sky,
He yelled pull first.
he would have killed. The Enforcer would have dealt 3 damage to the Atlas and killed it. So now it's 2 versus 2. Both of my mechs can take 5 points of damage total. So I mean each. And Eric's mechs can't take 5 points of damage together. Because the Atlas has 3 points and the Berserker has 1 point. I have to hit them both before I die. We will see. We need to roll. We need to roll initiative. One more time. This is probably the last turn. I've come up with a 6, and you have a 10. Of course, I've lost initiative. It was the whole game that way. Last turn of the game. The Urban Mech shoots the Berserker to death. The Urban Mech gets the kill most damage dealt on the Berserker, because I believe he dealt all but 3 points of damage to the Berserker, I think. That may be wrong. He's dealt the chief amount of damage to the Berserker. Rules as written, the Berserker doesn't get to hit him with the axe, but we, for today's game, we're like, no, that's silly. The Berserker gets to hit him with the axe. And he deleted him. So the Dervish fired at the Atlas, dealing 2 points. And it was 2 criticals because it was a through armor critical and structure, dealing 2 weapon hits, which reduces the Atlas to a 3-3-0 for his weapon profile. He has 1 point of structure, and he is at 3 inches or 4 inches of movement.
He now has 3 inches of movement.
He has 3 inches of movement. So the Dervish chases down the Atlas and kills him next turn. Because the Atlas also has a fire control hit. So the Dervish moves to medium range, and the Atlas pretends it's at long range, and the Dervish kills it because the Atlas can't kill him. At least not through sheer weapon damage. Let's see if I can lose initiative one more time this game. Yep. Yep. You rolled 1 better than I did. At least 1 every turn.
Even when running away.
Even when running away. So, yeah. That was a whole bunch of fun, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. No, we had to find rules for the Berserker to
That's okay. I think we have essentially concluded that every time we tried to bring an axe to a gunfight, we shouldn't have brought the axe. Partially because we never bring the axe to an urban fight. So potentially in an urban environment, that would actually work really well. So maybe we should set that up for next time.
We can have a hatchet man, an axe man, and a berserker all having fun.
I don't have an axe man, but I do have 4 hatchet men.
Well, then we have a hatchet man, a fake axe man, and a berserker all having fun.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that was today's game. The 4th Davion Guard were able to squeak out a victory at high cost. We lost the urban mech.